the Navy, I was a lieutenant. But thanks
See
for
what
the,
I
thanks
mean?
for the promotion.
But he was a sea man, right? Mr. David Oates. And
military
then,
guys don't understand that.
oh boy, here we go. The intro is already a wild time. And Mr. J. Adkins, we've got our commercial insurance, but also does any kind of insurance, but just somebody with a pretty big background. I look forward to getting through the laundry list of all your accolades as well. So, how are you, buddy?
I'm doing good. How are you, Steve?
Good. And
good,
for anybody that's into Ohio State Buckeyes, I think this guy has all kinds of pretty much every artifact, every game.
Are you seriously a Buckeye fan?
Oh.
I had no idea before you booked it.
you
No, like not even close. My
See what I
wife's
mean?
a Badger, and I'm a Terrapin. So Buckeyes is a four-letter word.
Right. Well, we all
enemies.
have our faults in life, right?
And the show may deviate. But yeah, how is everybody? Other
Well,
than,
I was okay until a moment ago.
Right. We're going to separate you.
Do you want me to sing the Buckeye song? Or?
Yeah. You go right ahead. You go right ahead.
So we're going to shift over to Paul here to remove some of the tension. Yeah, but the way we always open the show, just kind of what's going on in the world. I'm Canadian, so we got a little hockey talk in here, and then we can have some football banter. But,
so I am from the D.C. area. Go Caps, and we'll know at least when the show airs what the outcome is.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, game tonight.
What game could this say?
I'm a little behind on it.
It's going to be Game 5, and Washington's already leading the series 3-1. And so this could be it.
How surprised are you that they got to this point? Like I thought Pittsburgh was going to take them.
Oh, I think everybody in D.C., I've got, thanks to the magic of Facebook, I've still got friends back there that I went to college and high school with, and I think everybody's just beside themselves. They thought, no way this was the year.
When's the last time a D.C. sports team won a championship?
Great question.
I think it would have been the Redskins, and it would have been, 90... It would have been the 92 Super Bowl, the 91 season.
I'm impressed.
A little bit of a dry spell.
Yeah, a little bit. 26, 27
Don't
years now.
play trivia with this man.
Yeah.
Well, the Capitals.
When was the last time everybody gave a crap about the Buckeyes? None.
Wow.
We're going to go there.
Oh, there we go.
We're really going to do this, aren't we?
Sorry.
All right.
I totally expect that you're going to be retaliated before the hour's
being
up.
a Canadian, semi-liberal to a degree.
Get away from that.
This whole college banter blows me away, I swear.
It's passion.
Well, I don't know if it's
No,
passion
it's
or
passion.
craziness.
Well, a little fanaticism.
It's that fine line, right, between
Yeah.
absolutely just nuts and
I like to
Yes.
convince myself I haven't crossed over.
So
But
back to hockey. Right? No, it's just this could be a big game, and I always felt bad for Ovechkin because he's such an incredible player. And then to not have a cup, like Dan Marino, right? You can take
Dan Marino,
right?
yeah,
you can take
absolutely.
great players that never retired with the championship.
Yeah.
And
ultimate goal.
Although you got to love Vegas. I mean, as much as I'm a Caps fan, right?
1,000,000%.
And the reason is it's not because, they haven't paid their dues. These were cast-offs, right? These were folks that the other
What
team
they call them,
said.
like the misfits?
They were, right?
Well,
and
I
they
think
were
that's what
brought
their
together. The
nickname
coach was out of hockey for a year, and they all brought together, and they just said, we're going to prove that everybody else was wrong. Yeah. You got to give them props for that.
He's for sure going to coach of the year only because he also had a strategy of putting players together, people that already had some sort of history together. There was a lot of strategy that went behind this, but to create the passion and a lot of young teams, let's just forget that this is a first-year team, but young teams, they just don't have the depth to keep it going.
Right.
Like that far in the playoffs, normally you just, I made it this far, that's good enough. But to keep the hunger going all the way to the playoffs, through
that's
the playoffs,
chip on the
Stanley
shoulder
Cup.
and the underdog in them.
Well, and especially if they haven't been in that situation before, right? They run out of gas. They haven't been, in that position where they just keep the stamina going and they just don't have it to go into it. No.
I heard an interesting thing on a podcast about the franchise deal they negotiated. They keep 100% of the gate from the playoffs. The NHL and the other.
Vegas does? Yeah. Really?
Wow.
That was just because they never expected them to even be.
That's true. They're like,
if they win, they're going to be paying some.
That's it, right?
Massive money.
Because the 600
500
million,
to 1 odds in the beginning.
Yeah. Because the franchise fee was $600 million. The other owners split it, right? And then they revenue share. But in that part of the revenue share contract, you guys can keep that.
There's no way they're going to get it. Yeah.
Right.
So here they are.
Yeah.
Interesting.
7 months later.
So that's cool.
Crazy.
Yeah, and being the Canadian in me, I'm not going to touch too much into politics, but we got politics going on. So.
Was there politics
let's
this
not
last
go there,
week?
please.
Was there
Come
politics
on,
this last week?
I had a little bit of
Let's not
politics.
go there, please.
Right.
I'll tell you what, though, the one thing to say politics, being a marketer guy, that I am loathing is the next 6 months of ads and all of the vitriol diatribe that I'm going to have to deal with.
I drove
Vitriol
to
diatribe.
Costco.
Wow.
I drove into Costco yesterday just to get in there, and because you have to drive in, there's like 30 feet in front of you, then you turn left, go down a ramp, just plastered with
the
all
signage.
of these signs. It's just, one of those things that is just too much like eyesore out there.
Yeah,
It's just
going to be
warm-up app.
incessant. It's just going to be nonstop. It just gets so old after.
And I don't have cable, so I don't have to watch these ads about endorsed by so and so, and I slam this other person. It's just watching those negative ads all the time. It's just so, I don't know.
And that's why only 24% of the voting public actually voted in the primaries in California.
That's probably because they're so upset.
I think everybody's over it, right?
Yeah. Yep. So I mean, there's definitely a lot to look at and consider. But for all the listeners out there, pay attention to that. Pay attention to why people don't vote. Pay attention to why you get upset about what's going on, and think about the rest of everybody.
Well,
so
and
just
most of
look
all,
at the bigger picture.
you don't have a right to get upset if you don't vote.
Yeah, absolutely. Amen.
That's fair.
Don't come complain. Did you vote? No. Well,
You were
sorry.
really big. I'm trying to remember back on just on social media. Like I can't remember what. Maybe it was when Trump was getting elected, and you're super vocal, in politics.
Come on. No.
Yeah.
No.
Anyway.
Really?
So yeah.
Oh, okay.
But just you are very vocal about it, but you're also making very valid points about the same thing.
Never get personal.
Yeah. But if you're not going to vote, be quiet.
Absolutely.
Seriously.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Plato said it best.
Yep.
I'm trying to remember what he said.
Well, my daughter calls it play. Right.
You didn't take that class. at Ohio State.
Something to the effect that if you think politics doesn't, and you're not involved in it, then politics does control you, whether you accept that or not.
Interesting.
So yeah, that's not quite how he said it.
Well, I did find a sound for you that I think you might enjoy.
A sound. Money.
We were talking about economics.
That's awesome.
When you ran out to
Economics
get
and
your
marketing.
Ohio State coffee mug, I found that one on the sound list.
I love it.
I don't know if
But
David
what
will
an
like
economy we've got right now. Just incredible. Incredible
I
numbers.
saw
3.8% unemployment, lowest black employment, lowest Hispanic unemployment, lowest female unemployment.
There's
phenomenal.
a stat I saw today from the Bureau of Labor Statistics. We actually have more job openings in the country than we do
I saw that,
unemployed.
Yeah.
First time
And
ever.
it's been the second month in a row now. April stats came that way, and they just released May.
100%. It's just incredible.
happened.
We'll blame that on
Incredible.
Reagan. Well, we'll put that back to Reagan, so nobody can take any credit.
So
for
I mean,
it.
the time, but to your point, the time is now to start thinking about what it is you want to do. Look at the opportunities. Seize the day. You can truly have, the next great job if you want it. If you just look, close enough, and it's out there. It really is.
Absolutely.
We look at the jobs report pretty closely because it's one of the biggest influential factors on interest rates, for mortgages. And one of the interesting things I saw was that there's actually a lot of technical jobs that they just can't find people to hire. They just don't have the training. So to me, that's to your point. I think those are the trends that you want to pick up, right? And I think CNBC had an article about which ones and pay and education and stuff. And there was a couple that was like 18-month certificate in coding, and they make $85,000. So yeah, there are things if you look into it instead of just following a generic path. When it comes to education, I know Steve and I are big in education, very specific to what we do. We spend a lot of time and money in it. But, people starting out, that's something that you want to look. I remember when going to the library as a, junior high schooler and looking at, they had these books and it showed you different industries and jobs and what the average income was and stuff. And I was looking at that stuff early on. I wanted to know which direction to go.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, good stuff. Would you please allow me to digress and correct? Oh, okay, 2 minutes.
Yeah, but that's okay. Go ahead. You can correct somebody in 30 seconds.
My fumbleness of recovery of Plato. It's a great quote.
Plato.
Come on. It's a great quote. One of the penalties of refusing to participate in politics is that you end up being governed by your inferiors. Love it.
And that's why so many people get on HOAs. Unfortunately, it's the wrong people. I digress.
I digress.
But yeah, just looking at the way everything's going, if we really break down the economics into even our housing market, some people can look at where housing prices are right now versus where we were at the peak before the crash, and we've surpassed them. And people thought that was going to be impossible. But because the economy is doing so well, because if you just look at what we have for inventory, it's so low, but people can still afford it. If you look at affordability index for San Diego, and we're an expensive place to live, I shake my head. I'm in this business for a long time, but I shake my head, just at what's going on. But there's still so many cash buyers out there. It's unbelievable.
Lots of money here.
There's a lot of money. And it's almost like secret money. Somebody, jeans and a flip-flops, oh, I own this block. I'm like, okay. Right? And that's what you find here in San Diego. So it's pretty fascinating. So
that's a really good point. There's a lot of millionaires next door who don't necessarily have to flaunt that here.
Right.
They're here. They're here because they love being here and they're part of the community. And the status symbols that you may see in some of the bigger markets just don't exist here. People are real casual and real approachable too, and collaborative.
Millionaire Next Door. It's a great book. It talks about that.
I heard it.
They
What's
drive
the book?
used cars.
What's the book?
It's called The Millionaire Next Door.
It was written by
yes,
Plato.
yes.
So just to let you know. Yeah.
It was written by Plato. For sure.
All right. For all the ladies and gentlemen out there, we are going to be taking a break, and we're going to come back with Mr. J. Adkins.
I digress.
I digress. So, 1170 a.m., The Answer.